Hello and welcome to the Office of the Patriot. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you for your continued viewership. It is appreciated. My name is Myron Ybarra and I'm your host. Today I'm going to talk about the education system, specifically the change from traditional workforce structured education to what is being taught today. First, let's start off this segment with a bit of public education history. Nationwide compulsory public schools are a 20th century phenomenon here in the United States. The first state compulsory public school was established in Massachusetts in 1852, the state of New York shortly after that, and by 1918, every child in the United States was required to attend elementary school. And back then, elementary school education focused on reading, writing, and arithmetic, augmented with some instruction in civics, history, and English. During this educational renaissance, most public schools were funded by the communities they served. As a result, the education was geared towards the needs of that community. If the community was agricultural based, the curriculum would focus on natural sciences, mathematics, and chemistry. If it was a mining community, the curriculum would probably lean more towards geology, architecture, and applied mechanics. In 1867, the Federal Department of Education was created. However, it was relegated to collecting and cataloging educational data supplied by the states. It wasn't until over 100 years later in 1980 that the Department of Education gained its teeth and began inserting curriculum control on the states. Well, how would it do this? It did it with money, or at least the allure of money. The federal government is able to tax on large scale and then redistribute those collected taxes in the form of education subsidies through the Federal Department of Education to the states. And what state doesn't want more money for educating children? Every state in the nation capitulated to the federal government and began transforming its education system to one that is in compliance with federal education recommendations and their mandates. For the fiscal year of 2022, the United States Department of Education budget was almost $236 billion. To put that in perspective, the Federal Department of Education has the third largest budget in the federal government, only behind the Department of Defense and the Department of Health and Human Services. Where does all this money go? Well, it goes to programs that control not only what, but how your child is taught in public school. Federal programs like Every Student Succeeds Act and No Child Left Behind insert standards and metrics that not only supersede previous instruction, but prioritize leftist ideology that has no bearing in the competitive workforce. Rudimentary, and I would argue necessary skills, such as reading and writing in cursive, have been removed from most curriculums. Consumer mathematics, driver's education, civics, and home ec have either been removed or deprioritized. Instead, we get classes like gender equality and graphic sex ed classes that are not only offered to students, but in some schools they are mandated. And this in spite of parents not wanting to have their children exposed to these subjects. I do get it though. Times are tough with inflation at your doorstep. Your income doesn't seem to stretch quite as far as it did just 2 short years ago. And as parents, you are looking for ways to take some of the load off your shoulders. So along comes the United States and state government to the rescue via the public school system. Can't take time off of work to take the kids to school or pick them up? No worries. Schools are not only providing transportation to and from, but they're also providing transportation to extracurricular activities as well. Not enough time to go grocery shopping and then prepare meals for your kids. No need to worry about that either, because school districts are feeding your children breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even during winter, spring, and summer breaks. Can't get time off of work to take your kids to the doctor for their checkups and immunizations? We got you. Schools are now providing medical and mental health care for your children. And you don't even have to worry about giving permission, because they don't need it. Your child can opt for virtually any procedure they want without your consent or knowledge, even if those procedures change them permanently. This is where your tax dollars are going. They're going to politicians and bureaucrats who will decide what your child learns, what they eat, and what medical and mental health care they receive. The state has now become the de facto parent of your children. Your house, which was once your child's home, is now just a place where they sleep. And the family has been relegated to the friend zone. Parents must be filled with a sense of relief now that the responsibility for raising their children has been lifted from their shoulders. However, for those of you who don't have that sense of relief, what can you do about retaining your rights as a parent and keeping your family first? I'm sure many of you have seen the videos of thousands of upset parents confronting their respective school boards about some of the issues I just talked about. And if you've been watching these videos through the end, you've seen the disdain that these bureaucrats and elected officials have for the parents who still have the temerity to believe that they are responsible and in charge of their children's education. If you feel that way, here is my suggestion. Continue to pressure school boards and political leaders via open school board meetings, but at the same time, contact your state elected representatives and demand that they support and institute school voucher systems in your state. The school voucher system is designed to put tax dollars that go to the public schools back into your control. Each school receives a set amount of money for each child that attends school in that district. With a voucher system, a voucher could then be issued to the parents of that child, who now have the option to give the voucher to the public school system or use that voucher for any charter or private school they choose. This puts school choice back in the hands of the people and not the government or union representatives. And in a capitalistic society like we have here, competition breeds success. Public schools will be forced to change their curriculums to match student success outcomes that private schools are seeing in order to secure student seats. Now, some of you may think that this is a bash against public schools and public school teachers rather. It's not. I've met hundreds of well-intentioned and skilled public school teachers that feel the exact same way I do, but they have their hands tied with mandated curricula and bureaucratic red tape that they can't do their jobs. And like you, if they buck the system, they might find themselves out of a job as well. It will take a concerted effort by parents to change, or rather to make a change, in how and what your child is taught. It sucks that you have to do this, but your child's future and that of our country is at stake. Virtually every parent I've talked to would gladly lay down their life for their children. Making a change in your child's education and thus their future success won't require that large a sacrifice, but it will require some. Your children and our future are what's at stake. Well, that's all I have for this presentation. If you enjoy what was presented, please take the time to subscribe, smash the like button, hit the bell icon, and share my channel on your social media. And as always, have a great day and stay safe out there.